Hey y'all, and welcome to our first meal prep video of 2026 on my journey to get healthy and lose 150 pounds naturally through diet and exercise. Hi, I am Bethany Shanae, and let's get right into it. First, we're starting off by marinating these bone-in pork chops. I'm using a Baja citrus seasoning, and I'm going to use this restaurant-style Italian dressing from Walmart that's supposed to be like a knockoff to Olive Garden. I was just smelling the bottle of the dressing next to the seasoning pack just to see if the flavors will even be compatible. And then I went ahead and added about a teaspoon of lime juice. I'll add a teaspoon about of Worcestershire sauce and about a tablespoon of Knorr chicken bouillon. I just love adding bouillon to just about every recipe. I feel like it enhances any meat flavor, and I feel like pork and chicken go well together. Quick disclaimer, you're going to see me taste it on the fork. I'm the only one eating this. Don't stress out about it. So ideally, if you make this, I would suggest marinating it if you can overnight. It only has a teaspoon of lime juice in it, so it's not going to cook the meat or make it tough or anything like that. But this flavor, it was really good actually. It was very flavorful. And I do end up setting this aside for about 20 minutes while I get the rest of the stuff prepped. This was the first thing I just started, and that's just to show you I covered every single chop well. Next, we're going to start on my bone-in skin-on chicken thighs for my chicken mole. Now, if you're going to serve this for dinner, I would suggest doing it bone-in skin-on if you're going to eat it that day. But for meal prep, no. I patted them dry, and then I seasoned both sides liberally with this fajita seasoning that I got in Mexico. I do not know if they sell it in the States. I'm sorry, but it is absolutely delicious. And then, of course, my favorite Kinder seasoning besides the blend is their roast chicken. I did want to make sure I liberally seasoned both sides because, one, the underside, you're actually seasoning the meat. The top, you're more seasoning the skin. If you're meal prepping, again, I would take the skin off of these thighs because sitting in the mole, it ends up just kind of getting like soft. The skin does not stay crispy, obviously. Now for breakfast, we're doing like a steak and egg scramble. This is called sizzling steak from Walmart. Why they call it that? No clue. I'm pretty sure it's like a bottom round steak that was cut into or thinly sliced. I cut the steaks into about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch wide strips. And then I'm cutting it into inch-long chunks just so it cooks more evenly and it's more bite-sized. I'm going to go ahead and marinate it with some of this Goya Ricotta seasoning, which is like a cilantro lime, almost like a verde marinade seasoning base. About another teaspoon of lime juice, and then some more of this fajita seasoning. I do believe off camera I ended up adding some more of the green sauce and the seasoning just because I want it to be liberally coated. And then I set this aside for about 5 minutes just while I go ahead and get these pork chops laid out. Now, a trick if you're working with parchment paper, I prefer to line my pans with parchment paper. If you crumple it and wet it like in your sink and then squeeze all the water out of it and stretch it out and stretch it, like shake it, it will fit to your pan more easily. It won't stick up, it won't bunch, and I find the ends and the edges don't burn as much. And of course, I just put the extra marinade on top just to make sure the flavor got in there. So here I'm going to go ahead and crack 12 eggs. I absolutely love these little egg holders that I got on Temu. Yes, they were cheap. Yes, I love them. I did 12 eggs and my skillet was heating up. I'm adding about 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of bacon fat that I keep in this little mason jar on my stove. Just so that way I could have a good fat source because as you can tell by the steak, it does not have a lot of fat in it. Now, if you'd like to cook the steak longer than I do so it gets a little crispier, that would be good too. But I just cook it till it's fully brown. I'm adding about 1/2 cup, more like 1/3 cup of cottage cheese to the eggs. I'm going to add a decent amount, maybe about 1 tablespoon of Kinder's The Blend, which is basically garlic, onion, salt, and pepper. And I'm whisking it together. This is also kind of like my base for my egg cups, but I would have blended it in a blender and then poured it into a muffin tin. You do not get clumps of the cottage cheese if you just scramble it like this. It will kind of melt into it. It just keeps it fluffy and moist. And there I'm just showing you that the steak was fully cooked. It was fully browned, I'm sorry. And then here I just stir it around on medium-high heat. Keep moving it so that way nothing burns to the bottom. I'm someone that cannot stand browned eggs. It tastes weird to me. And a tip I do want to make sure everybody's aware of is if you're meal prepping scrambled eggs for breakfast, or really any eggs, just make sure you slightly undercook them, because you're going to want to reheat them. If you're not going to reheat them and you like cold eggs, that's fine. You can cook them to your exact desired cook preference, but I do try to undercook them just a little bit, just to where none of it's runny. This ended up being probably about a cup of scramble in each. I put a turkey sausage patty with the first one and just ended up having cottage cheese with the other ones. Here I'm starting to make mole. I will include below the video that I got the mole recipe from. I'm starting with a quart of my homemade chicken stock. And then here I am struggling, and I mean struggling, to open this jar of mole. Now, the girl online, she had done it with a knife. I actually just took my can opener right there, gripped it underneath, and used that to lift the edge, and it popped right off. Now, this is the weird part. I'm pretty sure my cat was in my bedroom with the door closed. How my camera jiggled and turned in the direction where I was, I have no idea. We're going to call it guardian angels for my own sanity. And then here is Ibarra, I think is the brand. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm going to just chop this up. This is only half a disc of chocolate. I end up putting a whole disc and a half of the chocolate in. This is a heaping tablespoon of peanut butter. I end up adding 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. The longest part of this process was really just trying to get the mole to fully dissolve down. I added some more homemade chicken stock just to thin it out. I could have added a little bit more because it is still thick when I ate the meal preps, but it was delicious nonetheless. Here I'm just taking any bones out of the pork chops. Again, I can taste it. I'm the only one eating this, so don't get your panties in a wad. And I'm just kind of chopping it up into cubes, because each chop is not going to be enough for my dinner. So what I'm planning on doing is just taking this whole container. I kept it in my mini fridge at work, and just if I got extra hungry after I had my lunch before I headed home, because I don't eat once I leave work, I will just scoop some of this out into a paper bowl, heat it up, and eat it. I kept all the flavor and everything on it. Now here I just took the bones out of the chicken, and my camera died. All right, y'all, and that's it for today's meal prep. So you saw me make my breakfast, which was it's called sizzling steak at Walmart. I think it's just really thinly sliced, like roast of some kind, bottom round, something like that, with eggs and cottage cheese just to bulk it up, because for 5 days I only had 12 eggs. Usually I like 3 eggs in my breakfast. And then I added a turkey sausage patty. I took it out of all the other breakfasts. I'm only leaving it in tomorrow's, because tomorrow's Monday, because I want to see if I even end up eating it. You know what I mean? Like, will this be filling enough without it? And then for lunch, for the first time ever, I made mole. Now, I could not stand it while I was cooking it. It had this really bitter, almost like burnt taste in the back of my tongue. But once I let it cool down a little bit and I ate it on chicken, it was to die for. You probably already heard in the voiceover, but I ended up doing 2 of those heaping tablespoons of peanut butter, and I did 1.5 of the chocolate discs. And then I also ended up adding about 1.5 tablespoons of sugar-free maple syrup, just because I could not get past that like taste in the back. I have had mole before. My friend's mother-in-law made it for us while we were in Mexico, and I fell in love with it. So I was so sure I was going to come back home and make it. I do like it now. I've tasted it after I let it sit and cool off and ate it with chicken, and it's delicious. I will probably be making this a lot. I only used half that sauce. Each of these, my camera died, so I didn't get to show you guys. There was 7 chicken thighs. I deboned them and chopped them up and divided it between 5 lunches, and then I put half a cup of mole sauce on each one. And that was half of the mole sauce that I made. So I put it in a quart container. It's in the fridge, and I'm going to move it to the freezer. So that way, next week or whenever I want to make mole again, I just have to defrost it. Okay? Planning ahead. And then here, this will probably be like my dinners or snacks, because it was 5 pork chops. They were smaller pork chops. And I just chopped them up. I'll keep this in my fridge at work. We have little paper bowls. So if I'm hungry, I can just go heat some up. But I have been eating a little bit later in the day and I haven't been as hungry. So I'm not too worried about that filling 5 dinners. It probably won't, but it will help. That maybe with a protein shake will just keep me from getting too hungry for the rest of the day. We shall see. But yeah, everything's delicious. Came out so moist. I'm really excited for this week. Like, I cannot wait. I really can't wait for this. This I'm just so excited for. But anyway, guys, I'm so excited to be posting my, what is this? Is this our first meal prep video of 2026? It might be, y'all. Man, it's at the end of January, too. I'm sorry I'm so late, but thank you guys for coming to see it. Let me know if you try any of these recipes. This mole recipe will be down in the description box below. I followed someone's video. And so that's why I did it like this. This is not my recipe. I followed someone else's video and just so happened to have a bunch of my own homemade stock that I made last week, which worked out perfectly. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming back to see today's video. Again, I am Bethany Shanae, and if you enjoy this or anything else on my channel, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you along for my journey to lose 150 pounds and get healthy mentally and physically. Yeah, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Please also hit that like button if you enjoyed this video and hit the notification bell so you don't miss when I post any more cooking videos or what I eat in a day. And I will see you all in the next one. Love you. Bye.